Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's Erin Scott here. It is Tuesday, the 18th of August, 2020, and we have a new moon in Leo occurring tonight. I'm going to take a look at the energies for not only today's moon, this week's energies, but the month ahead. Every new moon gives us a monthly cycle of theme and energetic growth, right? So let's take a look at it. Now, I wanted to first show you my desktop because this image was taken just last night at the Findhorn Foundation. This is from a member who lives at Findhorn, and this is looking out at the bay there. And this is a place that I lived for a while in 2011, and it's a beautiful place. And it feels, I don't know, for whatever reason, it felt appropriate for this particular Leo moon. And we're going to look at it. We're going to look at the symbology for this particular moon as well. But let's first take a look at the astrology, okay? So let's see what we have here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my highlighter. Okay, actually, and let me go ahead and adjust it a little bit here. Okay, now there's a couple of things we're going to look at here. You're going to notice that the degree of the new moon, sun, moon coming together, is at 26 degrees 35 minutes Leo. Okay. You're going to also notice that we have the Pluto placement back in its 22-degree portal. At the beginning of this year, January 12th, mid-January, we had the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto at 22 degrees Capricorn. Pluto has been going retrograde now for a while, and it's just entered back into the 22-degree point. So that's something that I want to point out to you. You're also going to notice that Pluto at 22 degrees is exactly conjunct the East Coast midheaven, the MC at 22 degrees. That is significant for those folks that live on the East Coast, but also Washington, D.C., okay? Because we're tapping into various layers of growth and evolution here. You're also going to notice that this point of Pluto at this returned position of 22 degrees is at a pinnacle point of a yod. Now, Pluto is with Saturn, but both of these are at this pinnacle point of this yod connected to the new moon. So let's first talk about the new moon. Now, it's occurring in Leo. And indeed, on the Eastern U.S. time zone chart, Leo new moon is actually happening in the correlated fifth house. We're looking here at the house system, which is a 0-degree Aries archetypal chart, right? So we're looking at the energies that are general for all of us globally, collectively, okay? So you're going to notice that the new moon is in Leo. It's at a later degree, third decan Leo new moon. Every month when we have the sun and the moon coming together, this is a seeding time for the potential for new alignment, inner and outer. Here, the inner alignment, every year we have our Leo new moon. In this particular cycle, we have this potential for alignment happening with the mind. There's an alignment that's about expression of the mind. This can be through writing, through teaching, through coursework. This can be through communications. It can be through expressing the self, okay? Because when we're talking about a Leo new moon, there's a new potential now and for the month ahead to express yourself purely, the pure essence of who you are. What are your distinct skills and talents? What are your interests? What's your bliss? What are the things that have been hobbies because you love to do it, but now maybe it wants to be expressed at a greater level or at a new iteration, okay? You're going to notice, everybody, that this particular new moon is sextiling the North Node. So there is a beautiful harmonic relationship between the potential for new expression and the growth that's naturally activated for mental functioning, for your mind, how it thinks, what it perceives, what it focuses on. Where is your mind focused? It's important. Your mind is a tool, and it's critical over the course of this North Node transiting Gemini over the next, 16 months or whatever it is, that we upgrade our thinking, that we become empowered in our thinking, that we vet information, that we become discerning, that we become curious about things, that we get involved in our own mental functioning, for God's sake. Too many people just modern human has become lazy when it comes to the use of one's own faculties. And you're going to notice that this North Node, which is in this beautiful harmonic relationship with this potential of the outer self expressing the inner desires and the inner truth of the self. You're also going to notice that this North Node is also sextiling Mars at 24 degrees Aries. So what do we have down here? We have a grand minor trine. What do we have up here? We have a kite formation. And this kite formation and the grand minor trine, these are pointing at, these are directing our attention toward the evolutionary prompting. The evolutionary prompting is about the use of the mind, up-leveling the mind, waking up curiosity and wonder, as opposed to just being in a state of default functioning. This is the belief system of the collective, and this is what I adopt as truth. No, this orientation is about expanding the mind through curious, self-instigated learning. Okay? This is about waking up your empowered mental functioning. And it's about also speaking your mind here. And the connection to this new moon is about the truth of who you are, what your skill sets are. And, the other thing with this Leo new moon is Leo governs play, joy, fun, bliss, happiness, adventure. This is about taking risks and having fun. It's an exploration sign. There's a level of exploration here, just like there is with all of the fire signs. But here there's the exploration of the self's expressed, individuated essence. Who are you and what's the juice within you? What's your own fire that's distinct to you? So the connection to the North Node is about communication, communicating, but also vetting, discerning the information and the things that you are here to speak. It's about being responsible for your own communications, yes? And the connection here to Mars is very much about uh, the passion of the self coming through. And so this particular grand minor trine, there's a level of skill that can be activated and catalyzed over the next 30-day cycle, everybody. Okay, this is about really kind of listening to your inner promptings. What is your passion? What is the thing that is driving you? Like, what prompting is moving you? Okay, what's the bliss? This entire orientation here, and we'll talk about the South Node point as well, of course, but this kind of peak orientation pointing to the North Node is really speaking to following your bliss. Joseph Campbell had it right. It continues to be correct because it's part of how nature operates. Nature itself operates in ways which follows the natural impetus. Humans get stuck, however, into identified patterns because it's the comfortable known. So the thing here is because keep in mind, the North Node is the growth edge. It's not the comfortable known necessarily. It's the prompting, but it's the uncomfortable edge of growth. Yes? When we're looking at the other end of the kite formation, we're looking at the south node with Lilith. Again, this is about holding a truth, holding a belief construct within your psyche that says that what I do doesn't matter, that I'm not empowered, that I don't have power, that what I speak, what I know, my experience, my wisdom, there's a denial of it here. Literally, with Lilith here in Sag, this is a pattern of denying one's own wisdom. Here, the growth edge is uh, express, express from the place of wisdom. Lilith is also pointing us toward what we need to attend to, what we need to pay attention to, what we need to value and thus express, activate. Okay? So the pattern of not valuing our own wisdom must evolve, and the evolution is about speaking that wisdom, bringing it forward. Okay? Now, let's talk about the yod. All right? Now, Pluto is at the pinnacle point of the yod. So is Saturn, by the way. Okay? In fact, Saturn is exactly quincunx, the 26-degree sun moon. Saturn is at 26. So we have an exact quincunx to Saturn, and Saturn has almost an exact quincunx to the north node. So the pinnacle point really is Saturn, but Pluto is also right here. So it's both. Now for Washington, D.C., this point of transformation and this point of power grab is on the goal point for Washington. Do you understand? The MC is our goals. When it comes to a Pluto-Saturn MC in Capricorn, we're talking the goal, the power goals of the government or the corporation or the father or the boss, whatever it is. But the goal for power, okay? Because right now, as I'm looking at the yacht, I'm going to speak to you through the voice of, let's say, the US. But then I'm going to talk to you about how this can impact you as an individual. So with regards to the collective, with regards to the US government, MC, Pluto, Saturn, at the pinnacle point of the yod, this is the necessary point. Well, first of all, the yod shows us what will be lived experience. The yod shows us what we will experience. It shows an event horizon that will occur. Okay? Now, with that being said, there is some controlling mechanism that is playing out with regards to the government in attempt to hold power that is in a dissonant relationship with the actual maturity of mind and communication that is called to happen. There's also a dissonant relationship between these attempts at the power grab and the control mechanisms being put into play, the restriction mechanisms being put into play. And for those of you in the US and even those of you abroad, you might understand that currently the government is attempting to disable the United States Postal Service, right? So this is kind of one of those functions, but there's multiple functions that are attempts to control and keep power, to limit and reduce and manipulate and keep power, okay? And there's a dissonant relationship here to the new potential for creative solutions, for pure truthful expression, for the individual to be expressed. Do you understand? Keep in mind, we have Gemini, which is about expression, and then we have Leo, which is correlated with the individual coming forward in whatever is the truth of that person. So we have the truth of the individual, and we have the individual's mental functioning being communicated out. Well, the individual and the individual is not relating well. There's no connection here to what's happening up here. The yod, again, indicates we will go through some experience set. There'll be some event that occurs within this next month that's going to be a very obvious power grab, a very obvious attempt to restrict and cut down open and free elections, for example. That's one example of probably multiple. And you can use your own imagination. You can also do your own research, right? Now, how would this impact the individual? Well, for individuals, especially if you have MC activations, this is going to activate in different ways depending on who you are. How awake, how conscious someone is, how self accountable someone is, how evolved someone is different than everyone else. There's different levels of awakening, there's different levels of conscious evolutionary placement that people are at naturally. This is just natural, okay? So everybody's going to respond in their own way. But what you need to understand about this positioning is that there's potential for individuals here, again, depending on who you are, that there will be some sort of activation. There'll be something that occurs with regards to empowerment. I'm talking now about individuals. There'll be some sort of activation with maturity and empowerment about stepping up as the Capricorn Saturnian leader, the boss, the one in charge, the self-accountable, self-responsible, empowered individual. And see, the thing is, this is the evolutionary point. What I want you all to understand, everybody, is that when we're looking at the pinnacle point of the yod, which is what we're looking at here, this is the point of growth that's called. Because when the growth is stepped into, then the yod, the functions that this yod is connecting can flow. That the dissonance that's between these two functions can evolve in a way that is benefic versus devolved. Do you understand? So it depends on who the person is. It depends on who you are as an individual. It depends on the corporation or the government that we're talking about around the world, right? Because different government leaders are going to respond differently to this yod. Some are going to contain and power grab. Others are going to step into the maturity that's called forward. They're going to be more, let's say, clear with their mind and with their communications. They're going to allow the expression of the individual. Yes? And at the same time, there's a level of maturity that can play out, a level of new types of power, a new way of operating in power. Here, we're talking about 22. So 22, now in the US, Washington, D.C. is 22 and 22. So there's, with 22, we can look at the situation of the master teacher or the teacher, somebody who is expressing from a place of broad impact. So in some cases, this is about some sort of communication or teaching, quote unquote, something that gets disseminated, information that gets disseminated from the powers that be, that again attempt to create some sort of chokehold, okay, on individual thought and on individual expression. All right? In other cases, this can look like a level by which the powers that be, whether it's the corporation or the government, owns the need to mature. And they up-level their position in power to be more wise, to step up to the plate and to evolve and up-level the way by which things are communicated. There can be a level of honest empowerment that can occur here, right? So it depends on who it is, and that's the same for you. Let's see if there's anything else. Actually, before we take another peek, actually there is something, okay? Now, you're going to notice that the Pluto at 22 degrees, it's exactly opposed Hygeia and Karma. These are two asteroids. with Hygeia at 22 and Karma at 22 Cancer, there is something indeed karmic that has to do with health. Okay? Now, because Pluto is back at the 22-degree point, where it was when the coronavirus pandemic kind of emerged and really became a foothold narrative that, traveled the world. This is replicating that energy. Pluto is now returned to the degree point it was when the coronavirus came forward, right? Well, look at this new moon cycle. Over the next month ahead, we have the energetics of this opposition. There is something karmic with health and healing. Now, there's some sort of a connection here because this is occurring in Cancer. There's some sort of health healing issue that will revolve around home. Now, does this mean that there'll be another kind of more severe iteration of quote unquote the lockdown? Yes, it could be that, right? That there's an attempt to control the narrative, the populace, whatever it is, through using the health crisis to contain, right? So there can be this kind of karmic process with health that's going to tie people to their homes again. Right now, we're not really in the lockdown as we were before. Right now, people are out and about. There's social distancing, there's mask wearing, but it's not the level of the lockdown that we had at one point. Could it be that in the next month we have another home-based karmic health situation that's linked to this situation with the powers that be in the government and corporate heads that are, making power plays? Yeah, it is. It's possible. Okay. The other thing that we have with the Hygeia karma is that there's something karmic happening with regards to health or healing about the inner emotional landscape of you. In other words, that there is potential for some of you who have felt emotionally destabilized, who have felt emotionally wounded and ill, to karmically heal, to attend to the issues at play. One of the things that Hygeia rules, it does rule health and healing, but one of the things too that's implicated here is mental health. And there's something at the 22-degree level karmically about the healing of the feelings of the inner landscape of the person, of the individual, of the home, of the foundations of who you are. There's something here about mental healing that is karmically necessary. Do you understand? Karma shows us what is necessary to deal with. And so karmically, there's a necessity to deal with the health and healing of the emotional landscape and the health and healing of the mental landscape, which is impacting the emotional landscape. Okay? So the inner self is to be self-healed. It's connected to any issues that are arising with the health. It's connected to what's happening out here on the collective. Do you understand? The collective issues that are happening certainly are impacting people's inner sense of well-being. But it is up to the self. It is up to you as an individual to deal with your own internal emotional health and well-being and your mental health and well-being. That's what this North Node in Gemini is about. That's what part of this alignment is about. This inner and outer alignment to your individuated, pure, unique self. Your confident, creative, expressed self. Creative expression is going to be a healing facet for you here. To follow your bliss is healing for you here, okay? It is up to you as an individual to own your own narrative, to own your own mental response mechanisms, to own your own emotional patterning, Own it, because you have the power to up-level it, period. No buts about it, okay? You're also going to notice, everybody, that this Hygeia karma is connected by trine to Neptune, okay? Neptune up here in Pisces is, number one, sextiling this stellium, or this grouping here, because it really is by trine or by sextile connected to Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, right? Now, this is quite good. Well, see, this is going to show up in two different ways. For some people, the powers that be are going to use narratives of spirituality in order to get their agenda done. So there's a use that can easily flow, right? Delusion and deception and lying are easily going to be implemented by the powers that be in order to create the restrictions that they wish, in order to keep the power in play. Yes, so that's the easy flow. For others of us, perhaps for you as an individual, there is a potential here to step into your power, into your maturity, to dream the new ideal reality that you wish to manifest for yourself. To dream and to imagine and to connect in to the deeper realities beyond the material realm, to connect in to the truths, the organizing principles of nature, for example, that live beyond the material. And when you do that, you can imagine and visualize and feel into the ideal, Neptune, reality with which you want to live and that you would want to create for yourself. So there's an amazing creativity that's indicated here that is can be feeding a new level of empowerment with your maturity, with your career path, with the new career path for some of you that's wanting to be implemented, okay? The trine down here to the Hygeia karma, so the karmic health conditions, there is a level of using your consciousness to heal that is activated during this time frame. And it's very important that you all understand that you can heal through your consciousness, okay? You can heal through sound, frequency, Neptune. You can heal through visualization. This is about the truth of nature. This is not woo-woo. And most of you listening to this get that, but this is just pure reality here. Okay? We are all consciousness. The base of all material reality is story. It's consciousness. It's the consciousness field that is filled with information, filled with story. So depending on the story that's underlying who you are, thus, for those interested, learn your blueprint, learn your story. What is the story of you? What's your blueprint? Okay, you have to know your story so you know how to re-whole, heal, be at peace. Okay, not live in constant stress because of conditions in the life. This is about knowing who you are so that you know the growth arcs and the mastery trajectories and what the wound sets are so that you can attend to them accordingly, right? So anyway, there is this level of the ability to use the mind, the consciousness, in a new way in order to really heal, truly heal at the foundations of who you are. Now, let's take a look at what the symbology is with the 26 to 27 degree Leo Sun Moon. So this says Leo 27, but actually, let me turn this off. But actually, it is Leo 26 to 27. Okay, everybody? So just understand that. All right? So we have, this is the Sabian symbol for this particular degree point. The luminescence of dawn in the eastern sky. The keynote, the exalting challenge of new opportunities at the threshold of a new cycle. While the rainbow marks the end of the crisis, and this is referring to a previous symbol, early dawn indicates the real beginning of the new period of activity. In the biblical symbolism, Noah plants his vineyard. He begins to teach the secret doctrine, which he inherited from those Ben Elohim, sons of God, who had not been sucked down into whirlpools of materiality. After the peak experience in which we touch our divine potentialities comes the struggle with everyday problems. But at first, the state of deep inner exaltation remains within us. We are aglow with its promise. The crisis and the blessing it has brought to us are relatively unusual events. Every day has its dawn, which we should meet with a pure heart and a clear mind. Alpha, dawn, and Omega, the concluding peak experience, are opposites yet the same. The keynote here is illumination. So this speaks to new beginnings. It speaks to a new day. Okay? Dawn brings a new day. The eastern sky can bring us toward narratives of, Eastern ancient religions and philosophies. You can take that for whatever resonates for you, right? But we have the exalting challenge of new opportunities at the threshold of a new cycle. It's exciting, and it might bring forward a little bit of fear too. Ultimately, you have a choice on how to attend to it, but there is a new cycle, okay? And the illumination is interesting here. I'm going to close this out because what we have here with this, sun moon alignment, this inner self and outer expression that's aligned with the truth of your particular blueprint. Leo is the truth of, let's say, your egoic narrative, like who you're here to express. The truth of what you are, who you are, what your skill sets are. So the illumination, this dawn of a new day, bringing some illumination here. Well, this can talk about illumination about who the truth of you really is and what you're here to do, what you're here to bring naturally, according to your own distinct blueprint. Okay. So the other thing that I'm going to bring up, everybody, and this is really important actually. This is the last thing. There's something quite delicious happening now. And the point is, for this particular Leo new moon that's happening today, is that it's activated for the entirety of this 30-day cycle. And this is the deal. Right now we have Mars in Aries. Mars is, of course, the ruler of Aries, right? So we have Mars in Aries now in 2020 that is trining the sun in Leo, which of course the sun rules Leo. So in other words, this planet is in its home sign, this planet or this star is in its home sign, okay? Now, you might think that this happens all the time. You might think that a trine, virtually an exact trine, 26 and a half, almost 25. So we have this beautiful trine that we're in now. We've been in for the last couple days. We're going to be in it, for the next several days. But the imprinting of this particular new moon has this Mars Sun, Aries, Leo trine activated. Well, the truth of the matter is this particular activation is exceedingly rare. Exceedingly. So I read something yesterday. In fact, I might go ahead and document it in the description of this video. So take a look in the description because I'll add the historic details to it. But essentially, what I had read from another astrologer was that this occurrence has only happened 7 times since the 1700s here. So this is not a common occurrence. You would think it would be every year. Well, the truth is the sun trines Mars, that happens throughout a year. But the trine activation would happen in other signs. The sun might be in Scorpio, etc., right? So what I want to point out is this is actually quite rare. And there is a potential for real energetic, benefic flow of energy. So this eastern horizon and the luminescence of dawn is quite delicious. Okay. For those of you interested, I have some sales going on. I invite you to go to my site, go to my services, take a look at the natal chart analysis to understand your blueprint. Take a look at the 2020 to 2021 an in-depth analysis, which looks at all different layers of your growth process for the next year and a half. And there's some other things too, so feel free to take a look at that. There's also a career alignment analysis sale activated. So everybody, I send you much love for your new moon day, for the week, and for this next 30-day cycle, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.